We are going to call this closed session meeting of January 12th. It's a little later, let me see, 5:07 p.m. To order. City Clerk, can we have a roll call? Oh, and I'm sorry, are you ready?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Krupa?
Here.
Councilmember Lilienthal?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nails? Here. Mayor Meyer?
Here.
For the record, Mayor, all council members are present.
Excellent. First, we'll begin with public comments. If we have any members of the audience, or via teleconference or via e-comments, we will go first. Do we have members of the public here?
We do not have any members on any other systems to speak, Madam Mayor.
Okay. With that, we will go into our closed session upstairs.
Councilmember Brown? Councilmember Krupa? Councilmember Lilienthal?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nails? Here. Mayor Meyer?
Here.
For the record, Mayor, all members are present. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go on to item number 3, public comment period. We are going to give everyone 3 minutes to speak, and we'll start with members from the audience. Our first speaker slip, we have Mary Ann Derwin. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa. Yes, I'm looking at the closed session agenda, so let me just come right back to you. I'm so sorry about that. Yes, let's all stand, and first we'll have our invocation by Jeremy Thompson from Community Christian Church, and then we will have Mayor Pro Tem Nails will be leading our Pledge of Allegiance.
God, we thank you for another beautiful day, God, capped off by a beautiful sunset in our valley, God. God, we love our valley so much, and the care about our valley is the reason that we're even here tonight. And so, God, thank you for this meeting. Thank you for these individuals. God, I pray that everything that happens to this night, Lord, that it would, everything would be thought about well. God, that there would be some really great decisions. God, again, we love our valley and we want what is good for our valley, Lord. And it seems like so many want disunity, Lord. And so I pray that this group right here tonight would be seeking unity within itself and within our valley, Lord. God, everything that goes on this meeting, would it be blessed. We love you. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we just came out of closed session, so we will first go on to the city attorney reporting on closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council did meet during the 5 o'clock session. In closed session, there were 4 items on the agenda. Item 5A, Public Employee Performance Evaluation Dismissal Appointment was held over until the end of this meeting and will be taken up at the end of the session. Item 4B, Conference with Labor Negotiators. The Council did meet and complete that item. There was no reportable action. Item 4C was a conference with legal counsel with regard to the property negotiations. They completed that discussion and there was no reportable action. And finally, there was a conference with legal counsel with regard to one item of anticipated litigation. Again, counsel completed that session. There's no reportable action. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, item 11, we'll have communications from the public. At this time, anyone who wishes to speak can fill out a comment card. And I think we have one up here right now. So we will start with Mary Ann Derwin.
Good evening, Council. I'm here again, as always. Again, it's about time, I think, for the Finance Department to step up. Once again, I have been charged $100 for my water bill 3 days after I paid my water bill. Again, this is now the 4th time that this has happened to me. This is a This is a charge that was not authorized by me. I authorized one charge only, and then 3 days later, they go ahead and they charge me again. Now, the last time I was here and I did talk to you, I did receive a phone call from the finance department. After that, a couple days after that, I was told that it is a third party that we go through, and then that they're just having a little tough time keeping up with all of the Hemet water. And that I assumed, which is my part, is that would have been taken care of, so it would happen again. I do keep close eye on my finances, and so that is why I do watch and know that this is happening. There are other people that may not have the ability to do that, and they could be being charged and not even realize that they're being charged that money and just think they spent it somewhere else. I'm not real excited about that. I really get tired of coming up here and having to complain about some things that are happening that aren't being taken care of. The finance department, I would go in to pay my bill. However, they're on modified hours from 8 to 1, and I work from 7:30 to 1:30. So my question, too, again, would be, if they're on modified hours, are they getting modified pay, since we're not, we can't go into the building after 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Where you do pay your water bill, there's always been a plexiglass piece there, just like at the bank where you just slipped your card under. So I don't really see why there should be modified hours to go in and pay your bill. Yes, I could call and pay it and tell someone all my information, but then I don't know who I'm telling my information to on the other side of the phone, and I don't know what they would do with that information. So you do encourage people to pay their bill online. I have tried that now a few times, and this is now the 4th time that this has happened to me. Last time I came here, it was only $31, so I let that go, and I thought, all right, fine. But when it comes up to $100 or more, that's a considerable amount. I think that the water bill should also start looking at being revamped. When you look at your water bill, it says that you have a credit. When you make a payment, it comes on the water bill as a credit. You're not giving me a credit of that money. You're charging me that money. So it's very confusing to people when they look at their water bill and see where it says credit after what you just paid, because it really isn't a credit. It's a charge. So I would also like to suggest if we can also revamp our water bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our timer is not working up here, so I'm going to have to use this device up here. All right, do we have any other members from the public to speak?
Yeah. Are you doing agendized or non-agendized?
We are doing the consent and discussion items first, so the items on the agenda first.
Okay, I have some stuff on the agenda.
Are there,
Yeah, go ahead.
City Clerk, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak before we go on to teleconference?
Do not have any other speaker cards down here.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll move on to teleconference.
Yes. If there's anyone on the teleconference that would like to speak, please have them state their name for the record and the city of residence, so that we can capture that for the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone on the teleconference line that would like to speak?
Only on the agenda items.
Okay, right now we're doing consent and discussion items, so you can go ahead and...
Okay.
Can you please state your name?
Sorry, I got lost.
If you're on the phone, please state your name for the record. We will entertain your comment at this time.
I'm sorry. This is Ann Smith.
And you have 3 minutes.
Sorry, I got a little bit lost. I got a little lost because I wasn't getting a feed, so I don't know where we are.
You can go ahead with your comment, please.
Okay, I wanted to make some comments on agenda items. On 14A, the warrant register, there were a couple of items that really stood out when I was going through the agenda. One of them was the attorney's fees, which were like $76,000 for December. I have no clue what that was for, and I don't know, maybe I can get the name of someone who can guide me on that because I'm really curious. The other thing that stood out was the HT Green Consulting Company, engineering services. And that was a heck of a lot of money, too. Geez, I think that was, I saw at least one item for $87,000. I think there were two items in the three warrants. And one was $91,000, one was $87,000. There was no way to figure out what that was for. And I hope it's not going to be one of those things. I'm sorry. All right. And number three, payment. You know what? I've got a really bad connection here. All right, let me keep going. I got, all right, 15F, paymentus. Mary Ann was just talking about the problem with reading the water bills, and I have a problem reading the water bills too, but besides that, they do a lousy job, and I have called and complained about it, not just to the city, but to the provider, and I did a little bit of research on paymentus, and in the grand scheme of things, they don't have very good reviews. So I just wanted to make a comment on that. On 15G, where the city manager has the ability to, I don't have the thing in front of me. I guess what I wanted to ask about 15G was who has oversight over any emergency proclamations that are made if city council is not in session. Let's say Mr. Lopez makes the decision based on best information available, which would be perfectly okay, since that's what he's designated to do. If it turns out that it wasn't the best thing to do, if there any oversight, that's on 15G. And the last thing I wanted to comment on was 16G about the Ad Hoc Committee. I hope you will vote to have an Ad Hoc Committee on the CDBG grant. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, do you have anyone else on the teleconference line? Seeing that we have none, next, City Clerk, if we have any e-comments that were mailed in.
Madam Mayor, we have two comments that were submitted through iCompass, and the first one, which I'm supposed to read into the record, is from Ms. Patricia N. Gregory. This is quite lengthy, so I will try to be brief with it. She has a number of questions. I think there are probably 10 of them. One is, I would like to the new council to consider the following and answer questions. Question number one is, do we pay more for our city attorney than any other of the surrounding cities? Second, why does the city continually spend more money than it receives? Third, why do we not have any additional police officers, even though we have received over $35 million in Measure U funds? Number four, Mayor, why does the fire department continue to have issues with overtime? Number five, why did the city not provide an actual audit of Measure U funds for the past 4 years? Number six, why hasn't the budget been amended to resolve the fact that although there was over $13 million in the Measure U budget as of June 30th, 2020, the beginning balance on June 1st of 2020 shows only $6 million. The comment goes on to say that why does the most recent budget pie chart show revenues from sales tax to be twice as large as the amount received from Measure U when the amount is exactly the same? And why haven't we implemented the state auditor's recommendations? I hope that we can obtain answers this year in order to put Hemet in a better financial position. The other comment, Mayor, and council is from Mr. Robert Thompson. Mr. Thompson writes, with respect to homeless or vagrant people, his comment is to the effect that he apologizes for not being present. Mr. Thompson is a handicapped gentleman. He's speaking about where his wife and him moved to Hemet in 2003 from Holbrook, and that he's noticing growing number of homeless and people and vagrant people in town, especially along Florida Avenue. And how is the city addressing this matter? Thank you for the opportunity to ask this question via this format, and I look forward to receiving an answer from the mayor and city council. That concludes the public comments, mayor and council, and that's everything we have. Thank you.
And maybe we should take a moment before we move on to introduce our new city clerk. You want to introduce him? Okay, since you're here, Daryl, then.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. We do have Daryl Betancourt as our interim city clerk. As you all know, our previous city clerk resigned. And so Daryl comes to us highly experienced master municipal clerk, as well as a master in public administration. And he's been able to hit the ground absolutely running. And so we're thankful to have Daryl on board. I also want to give a shout out to Gabby, who's been incredible in helping us out in this transition time. So thank you very much.
Yes, welcome. We'll keep you on your toes. Okay. Right. All right, next we have public hearing. We have none tonight, so we'll move on to item number 13, presentations. We have a presentation from Valleywide on the Simpson Center from Dean Witter, the general manager.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Meyer and council members, City Manager Chris Lopez, and the dedicated city staff. We're pleased to present to you, and it's somewhat of an experiment tonight. We've prepared a presentation that will go automatically through PowerPoint slides with dialogue, and I'll clear the line to answer any questions, but we want to sincerely thank you for a wonderful partnership and welcome the new council members in a new year, 2021. And also, I would be remiss if I did not mention of how nice it's been to work with your city manager, Chris Lopez, and your city clerk, Carol, through this process in preparation for the presentation.
So Dean, the presentation's being loaded as we speak, so give us a minute.
Thank you very much. I'll be watching via stream. Happy New Year. Honorable Mayor Carly Meyer and council members, City Manager Chris Lopez, and the dedicated City of Hemet staff. Thank you for being our friends and our supporters. Good evening. My name is Dean Wetter. I'm General Manager for Valleywide Recreation and Park District, and we wish to celebrate with you tonight. We wish to celebrate your prediction of success in our partnership operating the James Simpson Memorial Community Center. We agree that 2020 has been an anomaly. I wish to take a few minutes tonight and share with you how working together has demonstrated a true model partnership. It is always fun to go back and look at accomplishments. Over 412,000 participants have used services at the James Simpson Memorial Center since 2013, and I hope you agree with me that is something to celebrate. More than 25 full-service programs are the heart of keeping the Simpson Center running strong. Though we don't just serve seniors, as you can see, our programming is tailored to an active senior community. Dedication is in the DNA of the Valleywide staff team, and we believe we have a great opportunity to serve everyone in our partnership. Countless special events happen all year round, The City Hemet functions always take priority, and our friendly staff are here to serve you. We host events such as Planning Commission meetings, Caltrans information meetings, health fairs, Old Olympics, and various community rentals. The Simpson Center Auditorium is a wonderful feature for the City of Hemet residents. In 2014, we were excited to expand our partnership to include the City of Hemet Easter egg hunt at Gibble Park, where some 500 children come spend their morning with the Easter Bunny, and over 10,000 Easter eggs are part of the fun. The Simpson Center offers a venue for rentals for wedding, receptions, birthday parties, graduations, and more. This center provides a clean and comfortable place for the Hemet Jeep Club, Kids Summer Lunch Program, and the Kids Enrichment Program, to name a few. With an auditorium, kitchen classrooms, and large open rooms in the senior wing, we have a tradition of keeping the center busy, which results in a positive atmosphere and increases safety of the patrons. It is rewarding to take a look at a snapshot of where we've been. Amanda Thompson, our supervisor at the Simpson Center, is committed to exceptional customer service. And using this graph as a gauge of our success, our partnership is doing something really good together. On average, over 5,100 people are accustomed to participating in healthy recreation services at the Simpson Center. We appreciate your vision and thank you for your continued support. On behalf of our board of directors and our entire staff team, we want to thank you for creating community with us, and we wish you a healthy and safe new year. Again, my name is Dean Wetter, General Manager of Valleywide Recreation and Park District, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Do we have any questions from council? Comments for Dean? Well, we appreciate you putting that video together. It's great to see, and I think it's great for the community to see what is being done. Maybe you could address how you guys are dealing with COVID from the Simpson Center. What activities are currently available?
Thank you, Mayor. That does segue into a topic that's always on our mind. We are following all of the state and county requirements, and we do have current conditioning for youth sports allowed under the new state orders, but we are anticipating and looking forward to being able to return to full service for the City of Hemet residents sometime very soon in the future, we all hope.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Next, we will move on to item 14, the receive and file. We have one item on here. It is our warrant register. So if there's any comments on this or a motion? Approval with the condition that Lorena, Finance Director, would get back to Ann Smith and answer her questions on the 3 items that she asked about. But I am moving approval. Do you have a motion? Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Russ. City Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Mayor, excuse me, before I take a roll call on that item, I would like to call your attention to item number 15F on the consent calendar. My understanding, I'm sorry, on item 14, right, you know, this. Disregard, Mayor. I will do a roll call. Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa?
Yes.
Councilmember Lilienthal?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Nails? Yes. Mayor Meyer?
Yes.
That item passes 5-0, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, next we have item number 15, the consent calendar. On this consent calendar, all items will be acted upon by a single action of the City Council unless requested by an individual council member or staff to be pulled for separate consideration. Do we have any items pulled by staff? City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. We just have a couple amendments and some edits to some mistakes that were found on the agenda and the resolution, and those have been attached in the backup that is online as it stands.
Council members want to pull items?
Could we pull 15G?
Okay, 15G. H. All right, we have 80 and H by Councilmember Krupa. Anyone else have items they'd like to pull? Okay, if you want to have a motion for the rest of the items. Now we have 15C, 15D, 15E, 15F, 15I, and 15J.
Move approval on those remaining consent calendar items.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're approving the rest of the consent items with the exception of items 15A, B, H, pulled by Councilmember Krupa, in item 15G, pulled by Councilmember Lilienthal, Councilmember Brown. For the rest of the consent calendar, Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Krupa, Councilmember Lilienthal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills,
Yes.
and Mayor Meyer.
Yes.
Those items pass 5-0, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Krupa, let me start with 15A. Yes. Excuse me, just a question and comment on this. That I have no issues with Mr. Hill whatsoever getting appointed to the Planning Commission. My question is, does he then have to excuse himself from the Infrastructure Committee, or do we have any guidelines on that, or is that something that we need to look at in the future to either put in a municipal code or in council protocols or something like that? I'm going to answer this. I don't know what our codes are, but it is his understanding that he is not going to do both. Okay. And I would say that with his expertise, my personal opinion, that he will do a whole lot. He will do better work for the city on planning commission considering his background. But if legal could answer that question as to how we address this in the future.
In the future, first, there is nothing in your ordinance that prohibits a volunteer commissioner from serving on two committees. Obviously, at the same time, if council would like to address it, you may do so either by ordinance or either by your protocols. Protocols are being reworked at this time to handle it, or we could do it. It's whatever the council would like.
Thank you. We'll take that under advisement. Do you want to wait until I go through all three to approve these, or do you want to vote on? I'll make a motion to approve 15A, the appointment of Dana Hill. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa,
Yes.
Councilmember Lilienthal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills,
Yes.
Mayor Meyer.
Yes.
That item passes 5-0 again, Mayor. Thank you.
And 15B is just to Chris and I had a conversation about this today, and just to make sure that we all understand that the congressman's contract with the city for 1 year of $1 per year is to rent one office, common space, and the sister city room, not the two offices that they've migrated into.
That's correct. At one point, they did utilize the second office, but looking at the needs of the city and the expanded staff that we need up on our floor, we have let the congressman know, and it is in the agreement before you tonight. They are to utilize the one office as well as the common areas, as well as access to the conference room. And access to the conference room is coordinated through our office, Brenda, And so we make sure that there are no conflicts there. So I hope that answers the question, Councilmember.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, I would move approval of item 15B.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa,
Yes.
Councilmember Lilienthal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Knell,
Yes.
Mayor Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 again. Thank you.
Okay, then we're going to move down to item 15G. Councilmember Lilienthal.
So according to the staff report, item C states that it shall total and extend time limits by 1 year for items still valid as of March 16, 2020. The question that I have for it is something along the lines of, this means, well, this isn't a question, but it means that, to me, that someone whose time is up after March 16, 2020 is extended until March this year, 2021. Does that make sense? Is that the case? If it ends again, what happens if COVID isn't up? Because according to this, we keep extending it because of COVID. And it doesn't state in here, it doesn't make sense to me if we pass this. Like, for example, all the people who have paid for their extensions, does that mean the city has to give money back?
So thank you for that question, Council Member. I'll provide a little bit of background on why we did this and some of the issues and challenges related to this specific issue in and of itself. As you all know, COVID has had significant impacts across the globe. One of the impacts that it's had is on the construction side of making improvements or developments in any given community. As a result of the delays associated with that has required the city to potentially take action on this item. There were a number of developments that were concerned about the delays that were unrelated to anything that they did, anything related to the city. The city did really as a result of the COVID issues that have been put into place. So with that being said, I believe HPP is on the line. I'm going to hand it over to HPP to provide a little bit of detail about the intent on this item and what the goal is with this specific item and address Councilmember Lilienthal's question. So are you there?
Sure, let me try to explain that. The intent of this ordinance is to, or the order is to provide an opportunity for those folks who have started or in the process of pulling their permits. Some of the developers are individual single-family home developers, so they hold permits for individual each project and each homes. So what this is intended to do is to extend that time frame. Although the project started, we have multiple single-family residential projects that we need to start holding permits on. So this just extends the opportunity for an additional 12 months. Not necessarily that if the project ends on March, that it gives them an extension to March, but it's an intent to provide an additional 1-year time frame to give the opportunity for those developers to pull the proper permits without having to revamp and resubmit for any changes that occur within that time frame.
How does this directly affect your staff?
How does it directly affect the staff?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really affect the staff itself. That what we do is there's some coachings that occur during this process. So what we're trying to do is rather than have those developers resubmit all their plans again with a new code, we're giving them the opportunity to stay with the code that was already approved, and they can continue on because they started the process and they built some of their homes with that code. So we're just continuing that process along so that we can finish the project of how we're doing single-family lots that we built.
Okay, so this only applies to developers. It doesn't really apply to anyone like homeowners or anything like that.
No, if they got caught in the process, then this would apply to them as well. But we were giving the workforce the larger developers who they got stuck in the transition of change of code from 2019 to 2021.
Council member in HP, in addition to that, we haven't had residents have been concerned about this specific issue. It's really primarily been the larger housing developments that have had some of these challenges, and they're the ones that have reached out to us. But theoretically, if there was a resident that had suffered a similar issue with respect to their individual permit, this would apply to them as well, correct, HP?
Yes, correct.
In addition to that, the way that it also does impact staff is that if this weren't to go into effect, Dave and HP alluded to it, these projects would then have to start the process over, which would then tie up the staff to have to either review it or allocate staff resources to essentially start the project back over again. So in the interest of making sure that these projects continue to move forward, that we continue to provide economic development to the community, that's why this is before you tonight.
Mayor and council member, I can explain the exact operation of this. This resolution or the order in your ratification of it will do two things. One, Councilmember Lilienthal, you suggested what happens if somebody had a permit that was effective but it only had a couple months on it, was going to run in money. This not only tolls, that means it stops the existing time on a running permit. So if I had 6 months left on my permit, it tolls it, and that stops it running. Plus, it extends it by 1 year. So you'll have the remaining life on your permit, plus an additional year. That year starts from your approval of the re-ratification of this tonight. It went into effect earlier when the city manager, as your emergency services director, put in an order, so it would have stopped anybody from running out of time then. Now you're giving a little additional grace period by ratifying it. It stops the running of their permit and adds a year this year. So to give everybody a little bit more time to work.
Okay. Motion to pass?
Second thought. All right, we have a motion in a second.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa,
Yes.
Councilmember Lilienthal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills,
Yes.
Mayor Meyer. That item carries 5-0, Mayor. Thank you.
Right, and then we have 15H. Yes, thank you. Greatly appreciate the fact that another CIP is coming on to be approved. I just want to point out I may have to recuse myself from the vote on this one. While the slurry seal does not go down my street, it goes close to my street and crosses it and is close to my residence. So I would go to the city attorney to ask if I should recuse myself from this because of the location of my residence.
Yes, please recuse yourself.
Thank you. All right, were there any other comments on 15H?
It's not too often that I get to brag about the staff, but I really want to brag about the engineering department and the leadership that they've taken to carry through these CIP projects. I know we talked about earlier the prioritization and increasing the backlog of these projects, and this will continue to provide that infusion, improve the city's infrastructure, and create a better environment with respect to our service. So I want to thank and shout out the engineering team and the Steve Russo and the rest of the team that we have out there for taking on this.
Chris, is there any reassurance we can give the public? So this slurry seal project appears to me that it maintains some of the newer roads so that they don't become more older. What kind of reassurance could we give the public as far as our severely damaged roads?
Great question. Steve, I believe, is on the line. Steve Russo, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you provide some background on this report, talk about slurry seal and how this prolongs streets moving forward, but then also, the importance of having this done to not have streets further degraded and further degraded streets, and then also what's our plan for pavement rehab and construction and projects.
Understood. Good evening, members of the council. Yeah, the question about the slurry seal. In the ideal situation, roads are designed to have a 20-year life. And as long as we continue to maintain those streets with, in this particular case, adding slurry seal, it extends the life of the streets. So, although there are streets in the city that are beyond slurry need, that they're just degraded, there's large cracks, large dips, potholes, those are beyond the level of trying to put a slurry seal on. The slurry seal is really meant to prolong the life of the pavement, and it's a cost-effective way of maintaining that pavement for a longer lifespan. When you get into the levels of doing the grind and overlay, which one of the other projects that you have on the agenda, you're spending a lot more money, and it's because the road is deteriorated a little bit further beyond what's needed for a slurry seal. And then the most expensive repair is the complete removal and reconstruction of the street, which you don't want to have to go to, but of course there is the time. In the perfect world, perfect situation with the perfect amount of money, we would have the streets and city on a 5 to 7 year rotation of doing slurry seal, and you do a little bit of pavement repair in that time frame as well. But unfortunately, there's not enough money to do all that. So we take and do as much slurry seal as possible along those streets, while we still have to devote quite a large sum of money to get the streets repaired that are beyond streets.
Okay, and then I think his next question is, what type of plans do we have for our other streets, like as far as rehab and construction? Because we have a lot of streets that have chunks of asphalt missing, and so do we have plans for those type of streets?
Yeah, so all of the streets within the city, we've identified on a pavement management program, and all the streets are surveyed and driven and are identified with the level of deterioration here. And so the streets are then classified within a database program that we use in order to help us identify where we apply the majority of the funds that we have. So we get money from Measure A as well as SB1 and a little bit of gas tax funds. And we apply those in the most cost-effective way by doing some slurry seal and some reconstruction. So over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, I think we've accomplished about $6.5–7 million worth of road repairs throughout the city. And as you can see, I think as you commented, Mayor, that we haven't really even gotten to the point of accomplishing all the streets that really need it. So this fiscal year, we still have, in fact, if you notice on the next agenda item, I think it's 15I, we're going to have backwards. 15H is awarding a contract for $1.78 million for the 17-18 pavement rehabilitation project. So you can see that they are still catching up to a lot of projects that have been in the works for a while, and those streets were identified some time ago. So that you can see, and also you can see the map for the 3 major streets that we're doing. So there's a lot of funds that are being set aside and utilized for the removal and then also the grinding and overlay of the streets. But we continue to utilize those funds as we're given those funds from the council and Measure A and SB1 to apply them as best as possible to the streets.
Thank you. Did you have any more questions?
No further questions.
If anyone would like to entertain a motion on 15H.
I'll move approval on 15H. I'll second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa? Correction.
I will note for the record Ms. Krupa will be abstaining for this item. Recuse. Correction. Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Yes.
Meyer. That motion carries 4-0 with not on record the recusal as well.
Thank you. Okay, now for the most exciting part of our night. We're going on to item number 16, discussion action items. We have 16A, consideration of appointments to city council subcommittees and our ad hoc committees. I purposely left this table blank so that we can discuss and figure out tonight who will be best in which position. These are appointed by the mayor, and I don't want to assume or put people in positions that are not necessarily the right ones for you. So let's start out with our Hemet Housing Authority. I believe we just established that last meeting, so that one will be Krupa and Lillian Paul. Is that right? Okay. Our Investment Oversight Committee. Our Investment Oversight Committee is going to be restructured, but Councilmember Krupa has volunteered to remain on this committee. Is there anyone else who would like to be on that committee? I don't know that we necessarily need two because we have that Brown Act issue. But, right. So, we may do it like the planning commission, but like alternate or something. Or I'll be a summary, something like that. But we'll wait until we do that, so I'll stay on as the second person. Okay. Then we have our Community Outreach Committee. Now, I know that Mayor Pro Tem Nails has been interested in doing this.
I am as well.
And you are as well. And anyone else, is that fine with everyone? So is the Community Outreach Committee?
Malcolm.
Yes. Okay, then next we have our Skatepark Committee. So before it was Percival, and this works with the Public Works Department. The meeting dates are as needed, and do we have any council members that would like to be?
I like Adam.
Yes?
Yes.
You still skateboard? That's what I said. Yeah, I was just wondering.
I'm never rollerblading.
Oh. All right, is there any other council member that wants to be on this? We don't necessarily have to have two, but if someone else changes their mind, then we can add that at a later time. You want to be a backup? Okay. All right, we're going to put you on there. Just add you. There we go. Okay, then we have our liaisons to city boards and commissions. Hemet Public Library Board of Trustees. I would like that to keep that if nobody else, but I know that's one of the loves of my life. And we only need one. Is that correct? Okay. Infrastructure Commission.
I'd like to continue as liaison for that.
Okay, perfect. Is there anyone else that wants to join him, or just one is fine?
One is fine.
All right, we are getting down to business. Planning Commission. We have it broken up last year as first Tuesday, third Tuesday. We can, or we can have one person. I guess it will be up to you all. I think it's really good to break it up, to have two people on that and assigned to different things. Listening in on the Planning Commission is one of great value and great learning as to what actually goes on in the city. Get right down to the Planning Commission has more power probably than we do. So as developers come in, they can see what new businesses are coming to town, what new housing opportunities are coming. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer on that? Are you going to stay on that? I don't need to. You don't need to? Okay, no. I'm listening in. Either way. Because I'd like to know what's going on with them. But having an official liaison, I think, it's a great learning experience, I think, for somebody else. Want to do it, I like that. Okay. Are you interested in that also?
No.
No? Okay. Sure. All right. We're going to put Joe Mills down for that. Perfect. And we have special ad hoc committees. Our council protocol, we'll just do that. You guys are good. We don't want to interrupt your future.
Awesome. You're in the finish line.
Okay, and then we have our 2020 ad hoc committee. That's the same. You guys are almost done. It hasn't started. It's actually an item, discussion item. Okay, so this one is actually, you two were just appointed to this one.
Well, remember we took the action to delay until after the election.
We did the CARES Act. Like the CARES Act. Okay. Is that fine with everybody? Good? Let's see. Then we have our banking RFP ad hoc. That's Councilmember Krupa and Lilienthal. You guys volunteered for that last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That is the banking RFP ad hoc. Next, we have our vision and mission statement ad hoc, and I think this is the one that we are working on our council goals. So that is Councilmember Lilienthal and I. Okay. We have our Riverside County Airport land use. Now that's something you're already on. I'm on that, and I'm appointed through the county, actually through League of Cities. Yes. Okay. So we are not voting on that. Okay. Then we have our Community Action Partnership. So the Community Action Partnership, mostly Zoom meetings, but they have grant opportunities for our balance. So I didn't know if Councilmember Lilienthal or Mills, if you guys were interested in that. They meet once a month. It's Zoom, so you don't have to go anywhere. But
That's a community action
partnership. The Riverside County. So there's exciting things. All right, and I'll be your alternate. I'll just let you be. So we have this one. The League of Cities, all council members are included in that, so we do not have to vote on that. RCTC, I would really like to remain on that. I've gained enough seniority that I've moved over to the planning subcommittee for planning future projects, and been able to, through the last couple of years of continuity, been able to move some projects higher on the list than what they have been before, and setting aside, been able to set aside some property and some monies. So we're gathering attention, let's put it that way, and getting back on the roadmap that we had back in the early 2000s that we lost for 7 years. So I would really like to stay on that. And do we have an alternate? Russ, did you want to stay, or someone else?
Unless somebody else wants to be an alternate. She never misses, so you rarely would have to fill in for her.
Yes, you lose. That's right. This is one of those that you have to stay. Okay, and then RCHCA. So the Riverside County Habitat Conservation Agency. Do they actually meet other than, as a separate entity within RCOG? So, right? So even though RCOG is the managing body with staff, it's still representation of the cities. Okay, I didn't know how that.
Yeah, and the last 2 meetings have been Zoom meetings, so, but it's quarterly.
Are you guys interested in on this?
You don't like kangaroo rats?
They have interesting little species.
Yes, they do.
Mike Personal was so good at reporting monthly the endangered species of the month, whether it be plant or animal, and it was always exciting when he gave his report.
That's a different one.
Okay, so we'll leave Councilmember Brown on this. RTA, I would like to say that I am the incoming chair for RTA this year, and I would like to make Mr. Lilienthal the alternate. If I run the meetings, okay, perfect. He's sat in on the last T-Now meeting, which is a subchapter of RTA, and there's some exciting things coming up that I think he can get involved in as far as local transportation issues along with me without violating Brown Act.
Okay.
Okay, then we have Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority. This was Percival and Krupa before. And this one also, this is the RCA, and that has been taken under the wing or merged with RCTC. And I don't know what the structure is going to be at this point. I don't know if it's going to be like the RCHCA and WRCOG. And I realize I'm throwing out a lot of initials here. But like I said, I don't know. It was just approved at the first meeting in December that there would be a merger of the two. So no, there's necessarily a spot. Yeah. I may find out tomorrow. RCTC is tomorrow morning. And while it's not on the agenda, I can do a private conversation with Ann Meyer and ask her if she knows what the structure would be, as so that we could forward with the plans. Okay. Does somebody want to volunteer for this in case, and then we'll just drop it if it's not RCA? I'd be an alternate, but I sat on that for so many years and made so many people angry. Because I don't think our ferry shrimp on the west side of town should have been feeding. Yeah, land we can't. Well, we'll wait. We'll just wait on them if you want to wait, and we'll see where they go. We'll wait for you next week. Okay, and then we have Ramona Bolt, Board of Directors. One of my favorites. You know that too. But if somebody else is interested in getting involved in it, want to, or you want the rest to? You guys find it.
I'm happy to stay there, but if you want to be an alternate, that's fine. Okay.
Okay, and then we have the Hemet San Water Master Board. I'd like to stay on that if I can share that one too. Okay.
And I'd like to stay as the alternate.
Okay. Even though she never misses.
No, she did miss a couple of them.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I have this long list that I will forward to our city clerk since it's all digital. But let me go through this real fast so that everyone.
We have Western.
Oh, sorry, and archives. This is not done yet. Okay, hold on. Now we're going to add some to this list here. Yes, Western Community Energy. Okay.
I'd like to continue with that.
Okay. And do we have an alternate? I can't be the alternate. Okay. Okay, and then WRCOG. Russ?
I'm happy to continue with that.
Anybody else? Do that? Okay.
Okay.
So, we'll make a motion to approve these after I read them all back. Okay, so make sure there's any errors here. Hemet Housing Authority, Krupa Lilienthal. Investment Oversight Committee, Krupa Meyer. Community Outreach Committee, Nels Lilienthal. Skatepark Committee, Lilienthal Brown. Hemet Public Library Board of Trustees, Krupa. Infrastructure Commission, Brown. Planning Commission, Males. Council Protocols, Ad Hoc, Brown and Krupa. CDBG, Ad Hoc, Krupa Brown. Banking RFP Ad Hoc, Krupa Lilienthal. Our Vision and Mission Statement Ad Hoc, Lilienthal Meyer. Riverside County, we're not doing that one because that's not something we're voting on. The Community Action Partnership is going to be males. League of California Cities, all council members. RCTC, Krupa and Brown. RCHCA, Brown. Riverside City Transit Agency is going to be Krupa, Lilienthal. Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority will be Krupa. Oh no, this is the one we're leaving off. We're going to wait on this one until we get direction. I'm sorry about that. Ramona Bowl Board of Directors will be Krupa, males.
No, Brown.
Which one?
The males. You're first and then Joe. Okay, because it used to be Krupa and Brown.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Hamlet San Jacinto Water Master Board, Krupa, Brown. Western Community Energy, Brown, males. Western Riverside County Governments, WRCOG, Brown, Lilienthal. That's all I'm going to do.
Just for clarification, we do have a CDBG, another CDBG coming forward. Is that correct?
I feel like that is a new one.
Yeah, and that would be a new one.
And that's on the agenda tonight. Right. Yeah.
So
that one will be, we'll talk about that one.
we'll set that one in. Okay.
We'll set that one since it's separate.
Yeah.
So, do we have a motion to approve these as I read them?
Motion to approve.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa,
Yes.
Councilmember Lilienthal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mills,
Yes.
Mayor Meyer.
Yes.
That motion carries 5-0 as stated, Mayor. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, next we have item 16B. City Manager Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of updates with respect to the COVID-19 updates. As you'll recall, the council did direct staff to provide an ongoing update with respect to COVID-19. We've had an update every meeting since March 16th. With that being said, one of the most notable updates is that we did begin testing in the library 1 day out of the week. We started that a few weeks ago in partnership with the county of Riverside. Today we kicked off testing 5 days a week at the library, Tuesday through Saturday, and that is by appointment. So we were lucky enough and fortunate to have the county provide us a bus that was provided by the state of California. And so that bus has the ability to test upwards of 500 people a day. Those are the most notable updates with respect to COVID-19. The council did approve the emergency services order that they did issue in 2020, which I think the development community will be much appreciative of that action today. That concludes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, is there any questions or comments regarding that item? Oh dear, I'm going to have to ask the question. So I have a favor to ask. I think that it is imperative that our parks be open because the health and wellness of our citizens and their ability to social distance at a park is far greater than the social distancing at the COVID testing site. So it seems logical to me.
So we will look at the guidance that's out there, and I'll provide a memo to the council about the opportunity to do that. And so I got that on my list, and I'll provide an update on that. And then I can report back to the next council meeting about whatever action we did to
And I need you to understand the importance of this, and if any other council members want to chime in, because this may be something that county might not like, or the health department might not like, but yet I walked by the library yesterday and there was the largest group of people waiting to be tested. So if these are people potentially COVID positive, 6 feet apart is still too close. But there was a whole large gathering and social distancing, but yet our parks are not allowed to be opened. And so what this is causing is troublemakers are allowed to jump the fence and go to our parks, but yet the people that obey the rules aren't. And so then the old saying of "you are our eyes and ears," and that's how the city runs to report crime to the police, doesn't apply anymore because the eyes and ears are kept out of the park. It also creates some dangerous parking conditions because now people are parking outside of, let's say, Gibble Park, or they're parking at the mall and they're running across the 4 to 5 lanes of busy traffic. And so I just have to, I don't want to tell you right here to do it, but we could vote on it if we really got excited, but it is very important. Anybody want to say that?
Mayor, I know that there was an item that popped up with respect to Simpson Park that happens to be in the county, and that park is closed as a result of action taken by the Board of Supervisors and the county fire chief.
And we're waiting for that information still.
Correct, but I know that was a big issue that came up over the last week.
But I'm just worried more about like even our city parks right now in city limits that are in our control to open a swinging gate. I mean, I see at Gibble Park the driveway is locked shut, so even our patrol service can't get in to make sure that there is not violators in the park. So it does impede. There's a lot of problems.
I know that the council took action about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, with respect to facilities that were hosting tournaments and various group events. So the council did authorize an emergency services order with respect to that. So let me do a little bit of research, see if there's anything that's required for the council to rescind that, and then follow up.
And maybe it doesn't necessarily apply if it's organized activities versus a family walking at the park. They have to feel like they're breaking the law to go take their kids on a walk. And quite frankly, our kids are going nuts.
So give us the opportunity to look at it.
2 weeks is a long time for people to get locked in the house.
No, what I'm saying is that if there's something that we can do in the interim, we'll go ahead and provide that update to the council. And we will provide whatever update that we take at the next council meeting. So if there's something we can do before then, we'll provide that update at the next council meeting. Action may have already been taken by that.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Everything on the line. Okay, next we have item 16C. And we are going to actually pull from our agenda item 16C, D, E, and F. And I will explain each city attorney. Do I need to have a motion for these items? From the agenda. I'm going to give an explanation so the public understands. Okay. And anyone that wants to add anything, just I'll ask you between each one. But first we have Investment Oversight Committee. And as you all know, we have a newly elected treasurer that is doing a fabulous job. This is our first treasurer change in over 20 years. So transitions are challenging because we are updating systems and the way things are done. And without, let's say, protocol manuals or procedure manuals for this position, some things are having to be reinvented. Now, for item C in particular, this is updating our Investment Oversight Committee. And we have a resolution that requires our Investment Oversight Committee and our city treasurer to update the investment policy each year. So it is my recommendation that usually we are presented with a red line version. So once they are able to meet, they can come back with recommendations. And we don't necessarily limit it to 1 year, but we want it at least once a year. So that is quite possible. Does anybody else have anything on that? And then items D is the previous treasurer reports. And and actually D, E, and F will all fall under this category, but council has already asked staff to have a complete audit of our financials. We put that on our future agenda items. And so I feel that hiring another financial firm to do the same thing that we've asked, if we can pull that all in together, it will work out perfectly, and then we won't pay double, so that's always a benefit. We do not expect our sitting treasurer to provide reports for the prior, so she will start with December and go from there. And then the same with our items 16E and 16F. I just ask that through this transition, staff will fully cooperate with our treasurer to get all the answers, so that when, and then as our, whoever does our audit, questions can be answered there as well. But does anyone else have any questions on that or any comments?
I agree.
I think that it's a wise decision to, it's a big help. And it's a good job, and if the procedures aren't in place, they need to be in place. And absolutely willing to work with getting this all set up the right way and whatever changes need to be made. But it also brings up a question, and I don't know if it's addressed at all in our municipal code or any policies that we have or legally or whatever. When it comes to, we're an elected body with the agenda. The treasurer is an elected person who works basically for the city, that is an elected person. How does the, I guess, what's the procedure? What's the protocol for having things on the agenda other than the investment report, which is called out in the municipal code? That is the job of the city treasurer under the guidance and direction with the policy itself, approved by council. So I mean, it's kind of a convoluted situation, and we haven't come up with this before. So is there any legal rulings on this? What do we do? How do we do it? Make sure we do it right.
There's nothing in state law or in your municipal code that helps. Essentially, the treasurer becomes like another council person. The treasurer needs to either talk with the mayor, the city manager, or appear before this body and ask you to put something on as a future agenda. You can certainly change that. The council can make any kind of policy you want to, allowing the treasurer to put things on the agenda. But right now, as it stands, the treasurer would either ask the mayor to put something on the agenda, ask the city manager to put something on the agenda, or appear before you, kind of like your additional council items or future agenda items. She certainly can come to the meeting and ask you to change something like that. You go put it on and decide on it.
And so maybe, I know we're not on to the ad hoc committees, but if you want to address that in the council protocols as part of adding items to the agenda, we can always add that. We can look at what other cities do and check into that through the league, and also just calling some of our local cities. A lot of them don't have elected treasurers anymore. They just have a staff person basically that handles finance in the finance department. So we can check that out and bring that back and discuss it with the council. All right, item 16G. We have our community development block grant. This is 2021-2022.
So Mayor, before we get there, I do have a request on item number 16B. The interim city clerk has identified that we would like to request that the council receive and file their reports given, so that it reflects on the minutes. So that's item 16B.
Okay. We have a motion to receive and file the report from 16B. I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Krupa,
Yes.
Councilmember Lilienthal,
Yes.
Mayor Pro-Tem
Yes.
Mayor, thank you, Mayor. Just for the sake of the minutes and the clarity of the record, that's all.
Thank you.
I do have a question. Based on the conversation at the dais, is there anything that the council needs to do to formally pull items 16,
E and F?
Good evening, Mayor Meyer and council members. Veronica Allen from Finance. At the November 10th, 2020 council meeting, a public hearing was held to receive citizen comments regarding needs and priorities as part of the Community Development Block Grant fiscal year 2021-22 annual action plan process. No public comments were received. At the November meeting, council was asked to reactivate the CDBG Ad Hoc Committee. A motion was made and approved to postpone to the December or January City Council meeting. This evening, I'm here to request the Council to reactivate the CDBG Ad Hoc Committee and name 2 members to serve in the selection process and funding recommendations of the eligible 2021-22 CDBG applications. These applications received, if awarded, will be part of the 2021-22 CDBG Annual Action Plan. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate myself if I'm not good right now.
Before I do the choice. Awesome, good. Just a question on this for clarification. And this is the regular.
This is the regular.
Yes. Correct.
Yes, this is the regular one.
That's good. And my personal opinion on this is that somebody with prior experience, we should have one experienced and one new person. So if it would be, oh. I feel like a bird flying into a window. Like this, it's confining. It's a challenge. I don't want to be on it, so if you must. You want to be on it? There's still, staff still is involved in all the meetings. So, I mean, I remember Mike and I were on for the first time. We did it. If you want to be on it. So, it's a good experience. I think you guys will like it. Okay, so we have Councilmember Lilienthal, Mayor Pro Tem Nails. All right, do we have a motion on this? Do I need a motion? Okay. All right, you're appointed. All right, that ends our discussion items. So item number 17 is council staff reports. Councilmember Brown.
Well, being that we're coming out of the holiday period, most things were dark, but we do have the beginnings of activity again. So the Western Community Energy Board is resuming. They'll be having their Zoom meeting tomorrow. And then I think, as most everyone knows, we also have the Student of the Month Zoom platform coming up Thursday morning. And then I was successful in being appointed to the lead Public Safety Policy Committee this year, and their meeting kicks off Thursday also. So not much happened over the holidays, but busy week coming up. That's all I have.
Yeah, all about right with the League of California Cities, which has changed its name, identity, whatever. It is no longer the League of California Cities. It is now CAP Cities. And we did have our first general meeting of the year last night via Zoom. Council members Brown and Lowe involved at the meeting, as I was. We had over 100. In fact, I think the highest was 109 people on the Zoom calls on Riverside County, was ready to see each other again, if not in person, at least on the Zoom meeting. The speaker was Paul. His last name? His name was Paul, and he is
the expert in redistricting on state and local lines for seats in government in Washington and Sacramento, but also he talked a great deal on the redistricting for cities. And of course that will come up in the 2020 census, and it will have to look at its redistricting before the 2022 election to see where the boundary line should be. Paul mentioned, the hairdresser. Anyway, the differences that will come up this year, besides the usual numbers of people and ethnicity, is that incumbency will not be a consideration in drawing the lines. So it may prove interesting. I don't think Canada's going to have any issues or any problems on drawing the lines. I think we don't have any big clusters of any people. I mean, we're a very mixed community. Everybody lives together. So, we're commodities. I don't think we will have anything like that. His guess is that considering the changes in the numbers of public meetings and the time frame to publish an agenda specific to redistricting meetings has been really expanded. It's either, I think, 5 or 7 meetings that you have to have. They have to have explicit time frame if it's on a regular agenda. It needs to say we will be discussing this item at 7:30, and you must stick to that rule. You have to have the public outreach, and he is supposing that most cities will start the process probably in January of 2022, and then roll it because it will be a several-month process to get going, and everything should be in place well before the general election in November. So it was exciting hearing all of it. On a state level, it'll come up in a couple of years on whether or not we continue to have 6 representatives in Sacramento, or whether we'll be a United Valley, and with one in the Senate and one in the Assembly. And on the federal level, he was guessing that California may lose at least 1 seat, maybe more, in the House of Representatives. So we shall wait and see. The Census Bureau has delayed one more time the date to get the numbers to whoever in Washington that needs to start this redistricting thing. It was supposed to be January, it was moved to the middle of February, and at the end of last night's meeting, he got an email or a text and said that now it's been delayed till March 9th. So sooner or later, but that was an exciting thing that did happen last night. The last Planning Commission meeting, life of me, I can't remember what was on the agenda, but they approved everything on the agenda. So there was a new business. Oh, I know what it was. It was Raising Cane's. They approved Raising Cane's going in with the flow of traffic out at the crossroads, and also the moving of the smoke shop on South Lyon to the boardwalk on Florida. Ramona Bowl is not having a pageant in 2021 because of COVID. And everything else, RCTC is tomorrow, RTA is tomorrow too. And Melvin objects to the word skag.
Sounds too close to scab.
We have that conversation. So, Southern California Association of Governments, our RENA appeals went through the other day, and of course it was denied as everybody so far. Orange County and LA County have the largest number of cities that are appealing their RENA numbers, mainly because they're probably that they should be because they're work centers and they are mass transit centers, whereas we are not. So that was an interesting process. HP and staff did an excellent presentation to the Southern California Association of Governments appeals team, and that's it. And can I say, Carly, I think what we report out on these things is, it should be more important than what we do. Because there's so much, I mean, if we are representing our city on regional boards, excuse me, there are things that even though you say there's no report, there's a report, because we're always approving agenda items, whether it's budget or whatever it is. And I think we need to give more emphasis to what is happening on this level. I know I give Chris detailed reports on these things just to keep him in with RTA and RCTC and SCAD. I'm sorry. SoCal Council. But it's always at the end of the agenda, and I agree. When it gets past 10 o'clock at night, I mean, who cares?
And it would be great for us to even use some of this, maybe in our social media campaign that we'll just start.
It's good information to give out. People need to know that Hammond is being represented and what our council is doing on levels other than sitting up here on the dais, that we are involved in a world of other things. So, thank you for that. Okay, Councilmember Lilienthal. Tell me you don't have anything to report. I know you do. Did you work on Sunday? Did you do some work on Sunday in the community?
Guys, that's right on Facebook. So I took so some members. So what happened was sometime during last week I said I wanted to go out on Saturday and paint over some of the graffiti that was around on these walls in the city, and I didn't get to it on Saturday, but I ended up getting to it on Sunday, where I was able to paint over several locations. One location was Fruitvale, and the closest cross street would be Millie. So you could see it from Sanderson, but it's on the wall. Some kind of water is behind this wall, and so that's covered. We covered also a location at, I think it's Shopping Center in Stetson, a place called Chinese Food. So it's in the same, it's Carl's Jr. and I think Pizza Hut. It was a huge wall. Unfortunately, we were unable to get to the wall behind the building because I didn't have enough paint, and honestly, I didn't see that part. I just saw the big wall, and then when I looked at, so what happens is, I want to bring the attention to the community that there's people that keep breaking into the back of this building. They keep destroying the fence, and so this building owner has to keep coming back and repairing his fence, and so it's left open. So people can just go back there and either sleep or do whatever they do. But there's a lot of graffiti on that back wall. He is in the works of trying to repaint that, but I did get his side that is facing Stetson. We did have the police called on us when we were painting over that specific location. We also hit a location, is this alright?
Yes.
We also hit a location on, I want to say, Chocolates and Mayberry? Chocolates and Paisley. And there's a wall, the wall was probably like from the clock to that wall. So, and it was just like a couple of different pieces, but, so we covered that. We also covered, we also covered so behind Del Taco, their trash receptacle, the enclosure, was painted up, was painted both sides, the entire wall, because they had graffiti on both sides. I did get permission from all of these building owners. I did not get permission for the location on Florida at Harbor Freight. I left a message and said, we have 24 hours to let me know, and then I painted over. I did my best to match the colors. I am embarrassed of the one on Sanderson and Fruitville because it is horrible, and it's horrible. But and then finally, the last location out of good measure was located on Gilman Springs, or the street leading to Gilman Springs, right outside of the Scientology Wizard Place. There was a electrical box that had graffiti on it, and I went out there by myself and covered that one. So I am going to work. People are giving me more locations online, so I'm going to just go ahead and generate a list, and then with the remaining paint that I have, if it matches the area, then I'll send some more people out to go hit those areas. Currently, the people that I was using were clients of probation.
Excellent. That had been encouraging to some of those business owners because it's frustrating to have it being hit with cost and time, right? Time's valuable for everyone.
Yeah. One business owner did appreciate it. He said that really instilled in him a hope. Like, it really encouraged him to stay in him and to look for more opportunities in him because he felt like the city had his back on it.
It's encouraging. I think it's important for our community to stand behind each other as these type of things happen. Great. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Mills.
Well, I'm not on any committees or wasn't.
But I know you have a report too.
Yeah, I've just been trying to work with the community, work with business leaders, and trying to get, volunteers and get together and clean up the city and help the business people. I get a lot of complaints on people who are being broken into, especially the theater off Florida. They've been broken in 3 times already within the last month, and they're getting tired of it. They stole a lot of equipment from there, so it's very costly for them. Fortunately, they're getting cameras. I think they got them in today, so that's going to help a lot. I know that we got broken into multiple times at the Legion. When we put the cameras in, that really helped. So I think all businesses should put in cameras and protect their buildings and protect their assets. So that's about it. I'm sorry?
Your business Zoom call?
Yes, we had a business Zoom call, and it turned out pretty good. A lot of people were on it. My problem is I try to fit everything into one Zoom call. Businesses clean up, and so we just have to break that down. But soon we're going to get a cleanup committee. We're going to get that going. I know I have $198,000 that I can spend on cleanup, so. Isn't that what the council members have on their budget? I can buy equipment. Maybe not. But it's just all about just trying to get the community to work together and get things done.
So your message, everyone, would be all businesses need to contact you so that we can get all businesses together and.
Yes, definitely. If we can get the businesses together and communicate and try to see what we can do to help them, that would be great. And that's what I want to do.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the one item I'm going to touch on is back what Linda was saying. We each are involved in different areas of the community, and so I would like to, and I've spoken briefly to you guys individually about this, but I want to have a video series that we are able to release and address daily issues. And I want each council member to do as many as you want, and I want you to use your items. I mean, if you have something from the energy rest, then talk about it. And we're just going to, and this might be funny, maybe something like your council minute, and it's not going to be some long thing, but a minute goes a long way when you're in the video. Okay? So I would like to reach out to some local youth. You know, these kids are all tech savvy, and they could come in and intern and do some video editing for us and do some video shooting. So I have some kids interested. If anybody is, you can give me a call or contact the city, and we'll schedule that with you guys. We can do 2 or 3, 4 at a time. It's only a minute, right? We'll cover it. So I want there to be a platform for each of you to get the word out on all the different areas, because it takes, you know, all 5 of us up here on the council, but it takes more people to work together in the city to get things done. So I just want to encourage all that. All right, those are all the items that I have. Next we have our Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Protocol Committee.
For the Council Protocol Committee met last week and included the city attorney. We reviewed, we had submitted the modifications recommended by the 2 of us at the Ad Hoc to the city attorney. The city attorney gave us feedback, and so we started the process of going through the combined comments of the city attorney and what we have. We almost got through all of it, and we have the conclusion of that meeting set for this Friday, and we anticipate that we'll have a draft coming to the council for a study session. Hopefully, the next meeting in January, if not,
Awesome. And then we have our 2020 Ad Hoc Committee. Like that. Okay. Cooper Brown. You guys haven't met on that yet, right? That is all done. Okay, so we can remove Ad Hoc number 2. Committee reports. That's completed. Perfect. Okay, and then the one that we don't have on here is our council priorities committee. That's not when we've met a few times and spoken in great length on putting together a council priorities committee a meeting with council. And so at this point, I feel like we are going to have to schedule, and if we can look at our calendars, we can do it. But we need to try to get 2 meetings in this month. We need to have one on council priorities and then measure your priorities. So I'm looking at about a 4-hour block. That's more. All you workers. So let me see. If you all want to look at your calendars, you need to really pick some dates. And if you want to wait, we'd have Brenda work with everyone maybe tomorrow. It'll be too cumbersome tonight. But we really need to get 2 blocks of time so that everyone can share. And we're not going to limit it to 2 blocks because everyone has ideas and we want to make sure everything is covered. But in order to go forward to the city, I think it's important that we all get all of our information out there. You want to wait and schedule with Brenda? It'll be easier for just maybe at this point look, and then I'll have her guys email you guys tomorrow, and then we can go over that. I mean, if it's a Saturday, you know, I'm thinking 4 hours. I know that we get carried away, but this is really important, and I don't think we've done this since I've been on council, and you haven't. So, me too, because you yeah, you don't stop being a council member on Saturday. And I know you work on Sunday.
I'm saying that I would rather do it on Saturday.
Yeah, it depends on which Saturday. So if that's okay with everyone, I'll have Brenda get with you guys on times, but it's real important for us to get done. All right, future agenda items. So we have any future agenda items? Not future agenda item, but can we maybe reprioritize a couple of these as in number 10?
to get that done with the fireworks, because basically I believe all it is increasing the amount of the fine to go in line with what the county and what surrounding cities have. And I will tell you that the new year isn't over yet, because my neighbors shoot off fireworks at 10 o'clock at midnight. And it could be 1 and it could be 3. And while they're pretty, I guess, they're also loud. So I think if we could bring that back, and also with the street vendor permit regulations and enforcement, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly what we did on that. I think we were in compliance.
Right, we had a few items.
Yeah, there was something, and the sooner that gets done, because our sidewalks are littered with people that need to be legal if they're out there. So if we could move that up to like number 1 and 2 in the priority list, just to get them off the list, I think they're easy fixes.
All right. We will recess back into closed session because we have 1 item left to finish, and we will reconvene back in here. We'll just go upstairs again. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, we skipped you. I'm sorry. You're so quiet tonight. Oh, I totally skipped you.
I just wanted to provide a couple brief updates. I really appreciated getting to know Malcolm and some of the really involved things that Mayor Riverside and also really talking about your individual visions and your goals for the city. I know that we've spent a lot of time with them, but I've truly enjoyed them. And then Mayor Meyer, I enjoyed having those broader conversations as well. Councilmember Brown and Councilmember Cooper, I always find that our conversations are really well. So I feel like I really enjoyed getting to know the new council members. There's a new energy, there's a new sense of just idea. I think it's really good for me. And then I just want to give one final thanks to the finance team, Alina, Tiffany, Lorena, for assisting and giving as much as the information as possible to the news directors. So thank you very much to the team for facilitating that. That's all I have.
All right, we'll recess. Okay, the time is 10:17, and we're returning from closed session back to our regular session. If we have a report out.
Thank you, Mayor. So the council did meet in closed session. The council voted 3-2 to dismiss the current city attorney. The vote was Mayor Meyer, Councilmember Williamson, and Mayor Pro Tem Nails voting yes. Councilmember Brown and Councilmember Cooper voting no. In addition to that, the council appointed Stephen Graham of the firm Paul Huber as interim city attorney. Mayor Meyer, Councilmember Williamson, Mayor Pro Tem Nails voting yes. Mayor Councilmember Brown, Councilwoman Cooper voting no. Who's my report?
Thank you. I want to thank BWS for their years and years of service, and I know that they've been doing a lot for our city, and we will make sure that this is a smooth transition. All right, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned to the next city council meeting to be held Tuesday, January 26, 2021. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next meeting.